What's up, my people? We here with another one. I got kinda was the guy in the comment section. I was kind of jumping down his throat. I got him here. Kinda, you can tell him what's up. They can hear you.
Hey guys, hello everybody. What's going on? Yeah, we got into like a little spat, I guess, in the comment section. Um, I guess I came off a little bit antagonistic too. Like when I read back kind of how I wrote things, I probably could have worded it a little bit better. And so,
To
yeah,
to
I
to
think we
be
were kind of like, yeah,
to be
go ahead.
fair, to be fair, it was when I reread it. I felt like an asshole. I wanted to apologize on stream in front of everybody. I jumped down his throat a little bit, and me speaking to him more, I assumed his mentality and the way he was trying to come off. I assumed without fully conversating with him, and the more I speak to him, I can see he was genuinely trying to have a conversation. He wasn't like the other guys in the comment section. Other guys in the comment section was just being plain idiots, but he really wanted to have a discussion and engage in a discussion. So, I felt it fair. I jumped down his throat and said all types of shit. So I thought it was only fair that I apologize to him on stream and then have a conversation with him on stream. So again, Connor, I want to say I'm sorry. I jumped to conclusions there, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation now.
Yeah, and listen, I don't even blame you because I see all that stuff too. I mean, like to be fair, like when I saw your video popped up on my feed. And it came off as like kind of that like black Israelite type content. And usually with that type of video, you go to the comment sections and they're like wild as hell and people say so like I don't really blame you for that. Because yeah, that's obvious. Like there's a lot of those types of people on the internet nowadays. So
And
I didn't take any offense to that. And I assume that's probably like why you reacted the way that you did. So there's
yeah,
no
and
hard feelings.
I feel like a lot of people who seen the other video who comment maybe probably had that assumption too. My initial, maybe some people didn't see the initial video with me and kind of had the spat. That initial video definitely wasn't on any religious temperament. It was more in state. I was just commenting on the comments Nick Fuentes had made on the Candace Owens show, and I was just stating like it showed her lack of her lack of ignorance. And I don't know if Nick doesn't know. I don't know if he's just he's building his audience and he's building his base. I had to really think about it because maybe he does know and he's just trying to build his base. Because I seen a video from him recently, and he was saying blacks and whites need to come together to take down the Jews. But that's neither here nor there. But I didn't appreciate the comments uh from Nick to say black people never had civilization. We never had writing, or we didn't discover the wheel or fire or whatever ridiculous shit he was saying, because this is just like something you could simply search up. You know what I'm saying? And then he said, "Oh, the ancient Egyptians weren't black." Like, I don't know if you ever been to a museum, but any museum you go to, they tell you the original ancient Egyptians during the dynastical period was black. But we could get more into that. I just had two
Yeah.
things I wanted to pull up about that, and then like I said, me and Connor already spoke. We're gonna let the conversation flow because I think it's important to understand his narrative and how he sees the world and why he sees the world that way, and the same for me, vice versa. Because I know you grew up in the East Coast. I'm not sure. Are you from New York or
Yeah, I'm from like the New England area. Yeah,
so Massachusetts? I'm from New York. By the way, Boston is one of my favorite cities. I don't know if you go to Boston a lot, but I love going to Boston. They got
yeah, Boston. I've done a few times. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I love going to Martha's Vineyard. They got this restaurant called the Atlantic. It's one of the best steakhouse, seafood house restaurants you go to. It's absolutely delicious. Anybody, if you're in that area, go check it out. It's good.
Oh, yeah, I gotta keep that in mind.
But yeah, so we just gonna let the conversation naturally unflow. But kind of, if you want to, I'll give you the floor first. If you wanted to respond to anything I said, like I said, I already apologize because don't pay too much attention to the way I came off. I was having a beer. I was seeing old shit online, and it's just it could be a little infuriating. I'm not sitting
Yeah.
here.
Well,
I'm not the. Go ahead, I'll let you respond, and then I go.
yeah, I mean that's like what the internet has become nowadays. It's like people saying the most radical shit and getting emotional reactions out of people and making people maybe say things they wouldn't normally say, kind of face. Because yeah, one of I forget which video it was, but I was like laughing because you were like you're kind of starting to go off on like a little bit of a rant on white people, and then you like stopped yourself and you're like, wait, I work with white people, they're good people, and I started laughing at that because it's like, yeah, that's kind of the like we're bombarded with like so much like trash online of like the sloppiest types of people. And then you get people like Nick Fuentes and like, a lot of these like grifters online who are like, yeah, this is what it is. And this is, we got to stop this. And it's like, it's like dividing everybody. And like, when I saw you kind of say that stuff, I was like, no, this guy's like a good guy. He's like a respectful guy. He's not trying to like be hateful or anything. And he's like all of us. We're being kind of emotionally manipulated by the internet. But I don't think that means we can't have honest conversations about stuff and discuss history. I came at it from like a history standpoint and like a culture standpoint of just being interested in the topic. That's why I made the comment, because I saw it and I disagreed with it, but I didn't have any like, I watched your second video and you go into like a lot of racial stuff, which I think has a little bit to do with it, but I don't think really does have, it doesn't have, it doesn't do with it the most. I feel like, I don't think it's like the biggest aspect of it. I think in my thoughts, it's more just about the civilizations and the cultures. I don't agree with Nick that like, whatever he said. I don't know exactly what he said, but yeah, he tried to make it seem like, black people have no civilization or they're stupid or something. Like I see a lot of that going online, and that wasn't my point of contention. It was just the accuracy of the history. You said recently, you just said prior to this that that the ancient Egyptians were black. Like I disagree with that. I don't hold that to be true, but that doesn't mean I hate black people or I think black people are like stupid or stuff like that. It's just we have a disagreement on that. From what I've read and when I did a little bit of research onto this topic, that's not what I found. So maybe you have information that I don't know. Or
Yeah.
or the other way around. I don't know, but that's the good point of these debates. Have a respectful debate, go over stuff, and
uh, I think that's a perfect starting point. And then, uh, yeah, let's start there. Uh, and my second video, like I said, I was having a bit, and I have nothing against white people. I have white friends. Like I said, I work with white people. White people are cool. I got no issues with white people. But
yeah,
I guess maybe my tone, my undertone in the video, people took it more as like assault on white people. Because even in the comment section, he's like, "Oh, you're talking crap about white people." That wasn't my intention. My intention was to show that we all have a common history. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
humans migrate all around. So even though humans started off in Africa, but some migrated to Asia, some migrated to Europe, and their DNA mutated, their genome mutated through what's the word I'm looking for? Through outside influences like the environment, temperature,
yeah, yeah,
weather. You get what I'm saying? That was my main point. And to say that black people wasn't because they, a lot of times online they make it seem like black people were the only people enslaved throughout history. All people have been enslaved. You know what I'm saying? It was white people who enslaved other white people. The Romans enslaved the Greeks. They enslaved the Celtics. They enslaved the Gallics. They enslaved the Germanic people. That's just something of history when people get conquered. And I understand that. So I don't look at like the way Nick Fuentes like presented it as like he just saying like black people have lower IQs. And that may be true in a sense today in terms of America, in terms of the education system, but that's for completely separate reasons. That's not because of race. That's because of environmental and historical factors, is my opinion on that. But let's jump into the Egypt thing. I'll let you start with first why you think that the Egyptians are do you let me ask you this. Do you think they're not African, the original dynastical periods of Egyptians before the invaders came? Do you believe they're not African because of that the Arabs you see in Egypt today? Like what is the specific reason?
yeah. So this is another thing that I realized that was kind of mentioned, just the terminology. You saw that kind of in the Candace someone Nick Fuentes debate. She was kind of hung up on like African, the term African, and she's like Egyptians aren't African, and that's because it was fast and loose with wording there, and he generalizes things in a way that I didn't agree with that either. Um, yeah, I think that when we say African, obviously the continent of Africa, there's many different people on the continent of Africa. There's black people, there's Arab people, there's all different types of ethnicities. Um, And yeah, I don't think that my personal belief in, I don't have like evidence for this. This is my speculation. I think Egypt, because when you look at Egypt and they've done like DNA analysis of like different mummies and different people from that time period, they find all different types of people. They find black people, they find white people, they find Arab people, they find, various different ethnicities through that time period. Um, so I don't think it's like not black. I don't think it's full black. I think it's a blend of a bunch of different groups of people because that area of the world, like you said, people migrate, people And so, like, it was there like a core, like homogenous ethnic group of Egyptians at a certain time period? I'm sure there probably were. The history is so old, there's really no way you can even find that out. Like, all we really have is writing, we have artwork, we have archaeological evidence, we have mummies, we have, so we, oh, that's all we can go back, go off of. But when you look at the artwork, the earliest artwork, they painted black people, they painted themselves, they painted white people. And when you look at it, it's they have all different types of people, but the earliest ones they use, yeah, I think there's that guy. I think his name's Metatron. Have you ever heard his channel at all?
Yeah, I can't fucking stand
Yeah,
him, but
you don't
yeah.
like that guy? Okay, fair enough. But he had a video like discussing the artwork of it that I found interesting. Maybe he's wrong. I mean, he's obviously not like an authority on the subject, but yeah, he pointed out that, like, yeah, they didn't paint themselves black. They painted themselves like a redder, brownish kind of color. And whether you call that black or not, that's another thing too. Like, what is black? What is white? What is all these things? It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of besides the point, really. Like, it's like, but my whole point of contention was really like, we cannot group you were kind of grouping everybody together. You're like, well, it's just Africa. They're all Africans, and that's all that matters. And I think the point that Nick was trying to make, he was talking about how, like the situation of blacks in America. And he was pointing out that blacks come from the sub-Saharan part of Africa. I know you didn't really like that term, which maybe you can expand on that a little bit, of like why, because you were saying that, like, so, and I found this in the research too. There are people that were like, sub-Saharan African, it's just a racist term made by racist white people to be racist. And I'm like, I don't really understand that, because it's just like a descriptive term. It's just saying like that the African cultures that are below the Sahara Desert. And that's where a lot of American slaves came from, was from that area. And when you look at that area, it was like oral traditions. They
Well,
didn't really have
most Black Americans come from Western Africa, so from like Nigeria, where Mali was, current day, like Ghana. Most Black Americans come from that. But even those Africans migrated from Eastern Africa. Damn, I wish you could see, because I brought up a couple things, so I wish you could see it. But I'll just like read some of it out loud, and then we could go through it. But I'll address the Saharan African the verbiology, why some people find it offensive. I don't find, maybe I took it offensive at the moment when I read it, and it's because the way Nick was using it, and it's because it's a way to try to divide the accomplishments of Africans. For Africans are the most diverse group of people. Like they're all different color pigments. There's some very bright Africans, and then there's some very dark Africans. So
yeah,
like the term was made by archaeolog was like started like popping up by European archaeological. I'm struggling with the word, but you know the word I'm trying to say.
yeah,
And
yeah.
in the 17th century, 18th century, late 1700s, when they started discovering some of these things in Egypt. And then once they started like seeing some of the artwork and things of that nature, they said that, these couldn't be the Africans that we know that that made this type of stuff. So these have to be different type of Africans. So they try to divide them. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, these sub-Saharan Africans, the one we are encountering, the ones who civilizations we're encountering, we're not going to consider them the same like the ancient Egyptians. But it's also an important thing to remember. The ancient Egyptians was first the Hyksos invasion came in 17th during the 17th dynasty. Those were people of the Levant. Those are people that we currently historians currently they believe were the ancient Levant people of the Levantine before they turned to the Hebrew faith. Right? So that was the first invasion. Then you had the Persians with Cyrus the Great. Then you had Alexander the Great, who came after and kicked the Persians out, and the Egyptians welcomed them in. It wasn't like I wouldn't consider Alexander the Great a conqueror, because he kind of in a like the Persians were kind of brutal to Egyptians, not as brutal as later Arabs, but even though Persians and Arabs are two different subsect group of people, but they didn't look at him like they named him Pharaoh. They didn't look at him like a invader. They looked at him like he was freeing them, kind of. So they accepted him in their society. Then after that, you had the Romans. Remember, the Romans and the Greeks fought after that. So you had the Romans came and took over after you had the whole thing with Mark Antony and Cleopatra fighting Octavian. Then the Romans took over that land once they won that civil war. And then from there, you had the Arabs came. So you got Ir al-Az. because the Africans went to the to the Arabs to ask them to free them to get the Romans off their back. And once they did that, this is around early 7th century AD after that. So this is like early 630s. That's when the Arabs came. So the people that we see there today, that's a homogenous mix of all different groups of people. You get what I'm saying? That's why
Yeah.
people say when they look at them, we say, "Oh, those aren't the original Africans," because you got so many different invaders coming in, but those are mostly Arab invaders. They speak Arabic.
Yeah.
But if you look at the early formation of Egypt, it was formed up and down the Nile. So Upper Egypt is considered Nubia. That's considered Upper Egypt, and Southern Egypt, because the map, they flipped the map upside down. They looked at the map reverse, because the Nile flows upward, flows southern to us, but that was northern for them. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna read something offline real quick, and then you can tell me your thoughts on it. All right. Uh so I did a quick Google. Was ancient dynastical Egypt before invaders of African civilization? It says, yes, ancient dynastic Egypt was an African civilization with its origins and development firmly rooted in the African continent, particularly in pre-dynastic period in the Nabta Playa sites in the Sahara. Archaeological evidence suggesting an African origin from its pre-dynastic culture was settlements and proto-civilizations emerging from the south and the Sahara before the rise of the dynastic Egypt. The population itself was likely a diverse mix of indigenous Northeast Africans, including Nubians, Levantine people, which is people like modern day Israel now, but not the same people, but you get my point. With
Yeah.
physical features showing a gradation of skin tone similar to modern Egyptian. So I do believe that they were a multi-tone people, but that's because Africans in general are multi-tone people. But it was also people from the Levant there. But we also have to understand what separates the Levant and Egypt now. That was the Suez Canal. That was man-made. So that was a part of Africa. You could just cross there on feet. That they just made the Suez Canal in the late 20th, mid 20th century. That wasn't there before. So I think that's important to consider too. But it's like if you look at it's a lot of historians who talk about this, and people who look up the ancient DNA. Yes, it has been mummies of all different races there. You got European mummies there because you had Romans and Greeks who lived there, who settled there, who had families there, who, you know what I mean? But if you look at the times of the pyramid building, like the first pyramid was made by Imhotep. He was the Greeks made him a god. A lot of people call Herodotus the father of medicine, but Herodotus, if you look at some stuff, I could pull up some stuff. Herodotus said the first father of medicine is Imhotep. He conducted brain surgery. He's a genius. He was the first genius. You know, these were people of African origin. And I don't say this to say this. In the video, I was saying the video where I kind of went on a rant. I was making a statement that Africans had civilization before Europeans. And that is true, but the reason it's true is not because African people are better than Europeans. It's because of the conditions, the external conditions, the temperature. You can grow agriculture there. You can herd animals. Life was easier, so you could focus on other things. You get what I'm saying? People weren't like hunting and gathering in a sense where you might have had to in Europe because of the ice age and competition with the Neanderthals. You get what I'm saying? That's the distinction. It's not that, oh, black people are just smart. That was never my argument. I was never trying to diminish, and I try to go purposely out my way. Even though I was ranting, I try to purposely go out my way to try to say, like, I respect the accomplishments of white people. I'm not trying to degrade it in any way. You got the Industrial Revolution, the modern technology age we are in. A large ploy of it is because of European capitalism and colonial. Even though I don't think colonialism was a good thing, but in a sense, yeah. I don't know if you had any thoughts about anything. I just went on a tangent. I'll let you respond.
Yeah. Yeah. You said a lot there. Uh, this again, like you were breaking up the different ethnic groups of like North African there, pointing out that there's like Persians, there's Arabs, there's like
That
Nubian.
came in.
Yeah. Well, they've always been there, like Berbers and like the they called with the like stuff like that. There was
Canaanites.
like like
Canaanites of the Levant.
stuff like that. Like those groups of people seemingly they always lived there. They've kind of always been in that general region. And like when I was researching, I researched a little bit of like West Africa too, and like a lot of those places too. Like they have always been in like North African people of different time here. So but it's like you're really hung up on this Africa thing. Like it's Africa. I have no contention. I'm not denying that. all African. The contention is that basically, and I think the problem that people have who are on my side of the debate with like Nick, I can't speak, but it seems like what people are trying to take away the accomplishments of those areas. Say, well, typically black Africans built all these things. You know, it was all these and took everything, and you know, they were kicked out, and now everybody's trying to take what the black Africans, black people, white people, anybody who was born in Africa is an African thing. The contention is the types of Africans we're talking about. The reason that Nick brings up sub-Saharan Africa, sub-Saharan African people are different from the Northern African people, the West African people, the East African people. They all have different cultures. They all have different ethnicities. They're all part of different tribes. And so, yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Like Nubians had a huge part to play in the development of ancient Egypt. It's evidence that they had kings, Nubian kings. They had people. I think it's like the Kingdom of Kush. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Kush was Egypt.
Kush was Egypt. Okay, yeah, like that general area has had black, and that's where I disagree with it. That's like, oh, black people have civilization. They did have civilization. That you can't really deny that. They were part of the earliest civilizations and played a big factor. But it's what type of people are we talking about? What type of black people are we talking about? Nick is referring to the sub-Saharan people that were not part of that. They were a part of. They were kind of disconnected because of the Saharan desert.
During this time, the Sahara wasn't a desert. It was lush. It was a lush forest. It became a desert later on. It wasn't a desert.
That happened way earlier. That happened a lot earlier. That didn't happen like 6,000 years ago. I'm sure that happened like way later than that. But regardless, their language don't relate to the, like, if you look at the list, their languages don't relate to uh, the northern parts of Africa, the Egyptians, the North Africans. When you see,
wait. You saying their language today? Because Arabs are there today. Yes, it's different now, but before they spoke
even the
Kemetic.
languages of the time,
The
because
Kemetic language.
like, go ahead.
The Kemetic. It was a Kemetic language before. They spoke
Well,
Kemetic.
not the tribe, because you remember, like, even you agreed with me. Africa is the most diverse place in the world. The continent. There's so many different groups of people that live in Africa. A lot of Nick is right. A lot of the sub-Saharan African societies, they operate on oral tradition. They didn't operate in a writing system. So they don't have like Egyptian hieroglyphs. They don't have like certain how do I say it? The point really is that they're not really, their whole linguistics and everything not related to those people, and that's kind of evidence that they're not derived from those people. You look at the West Africans, you look at their writing system, directly relates to Egyptian hieroglyphic. So you know that there's like a blend of histories, a blend of influence there.
Right. That's my point. Like, okay, when the Arabs came, they started the West Arab slave trade, right? So a lot of Africans, they started castrating men, doing all types of heinous. They were extremely brutal. So a lot of Africans migrated westwards and went into Mali and stuff like that, and started the formations of later civilizations in Africa, like Mali and things of that nature. And then you got to also look at, it was pyramids and stuff like that all the way down from the Sudan up. You get what I'm saying? It's not just pyramids in Egypt. It's pyramids in Sudan and Somalia that travels up, southern, in Egyptian and terminology, ancient Egyptian terminology, towards what we consider like Cairo and all that things now. So it's just
but that's East African civilization. That's not sub-Saharan civilization.
I'm not caught up. That was my point. Like when I'm not caught up on the sub-Saharan term, because I feel like when you do that, you're trying to separate African people. That's like if we try to separate the accomplishments of Western Europe and Eastern Europe.
But you do. You kind of have to do that, don't you?
Europe is tiny. Why would you do that? They're Europeans. Yes, they are different people. They are different type of Europe. You have Anglos. You got the Saxons. Well, Anglo-Saxon. Then you got Polish and Bohemian, like Russian. But still, Europe is you consider that all still Europe. You still consider
in a general sense, but you do have to be specific when having these types of discussions, because, like I said in my comment, like, it was developed, before Europe was, and I agreed. I literally said, I was like, I'm Irish. Like our history is not like space
I love the
travel
Irish,
and
by the way.
fucking
I
like
love the
mapping.
Irish. I love the Irish,
Yeah,
by the way. Irish
yeah,
are really
and
good
like here's the
people.
thing, like this is what I don't understand is like, I have part Irish ancestry. I'm not like ashamed of Irish ancestry. I'm not like ashamed that we were kind of like a little bit barbarous and a little bit like savage, like we were like kids. I don't look down on it. I don't think I don't think it's like I don't think you're inferior if you have a girl if you're just not like that's the way the play doesn't whether it's successful. I made the video that like successful, and I think what
Wait,
that's like.
real quick, kinda. You got your phone like placed down like this?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Can you turn it sideways? Cause it cuts out sometimes with the value. And then I could yeah, it auto now you even look bigger. It's better. You look even better on stream. Perfect.
okay.
Hey, you way better.
Yeah, like so you got to be specific because we aren't all the same. We all have different histories. We've all gone through different stuff. Like we're all Americans, but you're like, I don't know what background you are, but are you black or if you don't mind?
My mother's black and my father's Puerto Rican, but Puerto Ricans are basically Africans and Taino indigenous people and a tad bit of European too.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, so would you say that we're like, in a sense, we are all the same, but you do have to be specific too, because the history that you had with your ancestors is going to be different than the history that I had. And so there is some specificity there and there is difference there. And
I
not
get
that
your
that,
I get your point.
yeah,
I think the point you're trying to make is that Black Americans might not necessarily have a direct lineage. Not all, some might, but not all might have a direct lineage to the ancient Egyptians. That's your point that you're trying to make, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I
Okay.
disagree with Nick in saying that like all black, it's like, no, clearly they did have influence, but the specific black people that we're talking about were the sub-Saharan people that were not a part of that had their own cultures. And I disagree with Nick too, that like, because they operated on oral tradition and had different ways of life, that somehow that makes them inferior or less than other types of groups of people. I get this in my
If
own life where people give me shit and they're like, you should be working harder. You should be, it's like, yeah, but I don't want to. I want to live the way I want to live. Like, why do I have to do what other people are telling me to do?
and that's a whole nother conversation there too. I would love to engage that conversation, but I just want to make a quick point. Uh, but I will understand that if Nick made that argument. Nick made the argument. Did he say sub-Saharan Africans specifically, or did he say Africans? I know he just said black people had low.
Yes.
He said black people had low IQ, so it's like it kind of correlates the thing, and then you say, okay, Africans didn't have. He said Africans at first, and then later on, when Candace Owens mentioned Egypt, then he said sub-Saharan Africans. That's how it went. And
That's how, yeah, exactly.
but even in
That's
saying
where
that,
he's like fast and loose on this shit. Like that we're
yeah,
having specific, we're talking about specifics, and he was like very general in the
yeah.
way he was talking about it. So
And then even being specific in that, most Black Americans here, they will have ancestry with Mali or Ghana or Benin. I don't know if you ever heard of Benin. Benin was a beautiful civilization. London has most of their fucking artwork in their museum. They stole like a lot of their ivory statues and shit like that. But like, it wasn't like they didn't have no culture, or civilization, or writing. Like what he said is just like, it's just not true. That was my
it's just
main
not true.
argument.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
my main argument. But yeah, I mean, we could switch gears here. But I think we come to a common understanding there. I will kind of like want to get your what's your political view, like you like in terms of like America now, like how do you look at the landscape now? Because there's a lot
Um,
of fucking crazy shit going on.
that's for sure. That's absolutely for sure. Yeah, we're at kind of an unprecedented time period, I think. And I got to thank you because I commented on the video and maybe I misheard your video, but I was listening and you were like, oh, this guy's like commenting on my video. I only have like a few hundred views or something. Like what? But
No,
like I
you show
respect.
love. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah,
Yo, bro, I was
you're giving yourself
don't
you're
shit on me
giving
too much, bro.
yourself shit.
I was having a beer. Don't shit on me too much. I was tipsy. Don't shit on me too much, bro. I
No,
was
but like yeah,
certain shit I was bugging. I was wrong for saying that. But I appreciate the love for even the people that was shitting on me in my last video. I appreciate the traction. That's why I wasn't even too mad at it. Like fuck it. I'll take even though they was giving
yeah.
me some racist shit. Fuck it. Like I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Like whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, and like when you were saying stuff like I don't take offense. I'm not here to like tell people what to believe or this is we're Americans. We're supposed to believe in freedom of speech, you know. But yeah, you were giving yourself a tough time, but it's like you're doing something. You're putting your views out there. Even if you're a small channel, you got to start somewhere. And
Definitely.
the whole reason I did this debate was like, yeah, but there's crazy. We're in a crazy time period, and I think a lot of people want to see change. And I think it's good that like people like me and you, I'm sure you're just like a normal working class guy, right? Work a normal job and
Yeah. Well, I live in Asia. I had to get the fuck. I'm a software engineer. I've been living in Asia over the last 2.5 years. Uh, so I'm like I'm decent off. Like I make a good amount of money. I'm okay. I'm comfortable. But I do think I think we might agree and have the same opinions on society and American government and American culture right now. I think even Nick, I agree with Nick on a lot of things. That's what pissed me off, that he made those type of comments, because now you turning people off from people who might support some, because he goes against the right wing establishment. That's what I like.
yeah, yeah,
I'm okay with people have different opinions on how the economy should run in terms of certain programs. I'm okay with that but like he's against corruption, and everybody can see that the American government is completely compromised right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
shit has to
absolutely.
happen. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what way is it gonna happen? Like, because I know a lot of people who voted for Trump, who supported Trump, they thought he was gonna go in there and you know, drain the swamp, and it's obvious he's fucking compromised. So I
Yeah,
understand why I never shitted on people who supported Trump, because I understood why. People wanted to throw a fucking brick at the fucking establishment. They've been fucking us over for so many years. They got rid of manufacturing here. They let the lobbyists and the healthcare executives and big pharma, Wall Street just fucking screw us over. I remember Occupy Wall Street. Obama fucking got the peaceful protesters' heads cracked. You know what I'm saying? And gave fucking
yeah,
Wall Street bailouts, and then they got $25 million bonuses, CEOs, and then it was just like a revolving door of corruption, and people want that shit to stop. People are busting their ass. Productivity is at an all-time high, but wages doesn't seem to be going up, and people are feeling it, man. Healthcare is fucking people. People are literally dying. But while every other industrialized nation has a single payer healthcare system, and I don't know if you support a single payer healthcare system, but we're the only industrialized nation that doesn't have it, and we have 50, 60,000 people dying for not having it. That's why you got people like the Mangione kid going shooting you know what I'm saying? And honestly,
yeah,
that might be the only way people, that violence is the only thing people seem to respect in terms of the establishment, because that shit scared them. Once that shit happened, it was a healthcare company that said, yeah, they at first they was like, yeah, we're gonna take anesthesia away from certain procedures. Once that shit happened, they said, yeah, we reversing that. We gonna keep the anesthesia there. We don't want that shit going on. You know what I'm saying? So, I think we,
yeah.
we agree on a lot of things, but I'll let you get more into depth, like, specifically what you believe, or like whatever you wanted to comment. I'm sorry I cut you off, bro.
No, no, all good. Yeah, I think Nick, like, I agree with you. I think Nick touches on a lot of topics that we all kind of recognize and see. I agree with everything you just said. Like, the American government, I think, is the biggest enemy of the world right now. The people who are in power and the how they're controlling everything, and these like globalist cabals and stuff. They're not serving the people who support all that, the taxpayers and like the workers of the world and shit. All those people are kind of being left behind, and our leadership doesn't really give a shit about us. And so, yeah, like we're seeing people start posting stuff and putting their voices out here, fighting back against that. Nick is blown up because he's kind of come at that from a angle that people haven't really seen before. And that's kind of why I wanted to come in and do this debate, because I do think Nick is a little bit too radical. You were talking about Luigi Mangione and like, violence, and how you're starting to believe that is it how it has to go down for anything to change? And I wanted to come on here to kind of give voice of reason that like we shouldn't be going down that direction. That's never good for anybody. Even though it feels like that could end up good, we can get changed. We could just burn the whole thing down, rebuild it from scratch. It's like that's never going to happen. And then you're not going to get respect for that, because now you're the same thing that you were criticizing before, the people who were oppressing you. It's like we need to find a way to come together and unite and find a common goal, find a common ground that we can all say, okay, not just America, the whole world, that like, okay, we want to work towards this. We want to provide the majority of people who are going to be working class people with some type of like base lifestyle where they don't have to like worry about if they break their arm, my life is over. I'm 20 grand in debt and I might as well just chop my arm off. Like that's horrible. That shouldn't be happening anywhere. And yeah, like I agree. I think people need to start speaking up. I got a lot of shit coming into this debate because people were like, "Oh, you're using your real name, and like maybe people are gonna come after you." And it's like, we got to stop with this pussy bullshit, dude. People need to start speaking up. People need to stop being anonymous. They need to get their voices out there. Personally, I would like to see a new kind of political party form in America that challenges the status quo. I think that's kind of a big thing we need right now. I think that whether you're Democrat or Republican, I think both people who support those groups would agree that those parties have kind of failed their constituents who vote for them. They're not really giving them what they want. It's kind of all bullshit. They tell us what we want to hear. They get into power and they kind of just further this agenda that they've been on for like the past 100 years.
Serving their donors.
Serving their donors and all that shit. And it's everybody sees that this is going off a cliff, basically. We were talking a little bit about the economy. Like people need to realize like the economy is kind of fucked. Like we're in like, people talk about we're like 30 trillion in debt. They don't look at like the unfunded liabilities that our government's on the hook for in the next coming years. Like it's something like $100 trillion that we're obligated to pay those things.
And then the crazy shit is they borrowed the money. The federal government borrows the money from the donors who gives to the politicians. It's like just one big fucking. It's a scam. It's just like one big fucking scam,
Yeah.
and it's like the taxpayers is gonna be the ones who's fucking stuck with, you know what I mean, trying to redevelop shit in the end. It's just insane. Why they're building 100 million? You got what's the guy from Facebook, Zuckerberg? He got $100 million bunker he's setting up. Like what the fuck is going
Yeah,
on?
they're building like bunkers and spaceships. Like it's like clear that they don't even know if this thing's gonna survive or not. Like, yeah.
What's going on? What's going on right now, especially with these tech companies? You got Grok, Elon Musk, Sam Altwood of OpenAI. You got Google. They're trying to rush to build the first super intelligent AI because they realize once you have control of that, you control fucking everything. So they're like spinning. It's like that's why they're saying it's a tech bubble, AI, artificial intelligence bubble, because it's like shitting money right now because they know whoever gets that form of super intelligence AI, which is completely fucking dangerous in my opinion,
Yeah.
but like they're gonna be able to control anything. But
Yeah.
I think you touched on some good. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just
No,
want to say you touched on some great points, and that was why I was so frustrated with Nick because I do agree. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are both compromised. I think everybody realized that, and it has to be some form of party. But like, what is that party going to be? Is it going to be a party where certain people on a pedestal? We're going to play the race game. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's so
Yeah.
frustrating that he's engaging in these conversations because I don't care if somebody has a different view on policy in terms of the social safety net and things of that nature. Just as long as we get corruption out the system and we know it's like a fair game. You're not giving fucking billions of dollars in subsidies to certain corporations, because they're giving money to certain politicians. Like that's what I just can't stand the corruption. That's the main thing. I'm more of a
Yeah.
progressive. I believe in having a strong social safety net, but like a single payer healthcare system, like basic fundamental shit. I'm not like I'm not asking for a UBI and nothing like that. Unless AI gets crazy and everybody loses their fucking job, which is kind of happening in the tech world. So it's a bit scary,
Yeah.
but unless something like that happens, but like I feel like I'll ask for basic fundamental shit. But even if the party, if the left and right came together, and when I say that, I mean like the populace, like the regular people, not the politicians, the regular people, and just had a adjacent goal of just getting the money out the system, getting rid of legalized robbery. I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a bit
Yeah.
uncomfortable when he start throwing the race shit in there and saying people are of lower IQ. It's like
It's
and I'm not saying we don't have a
Yeah.
problem in our community. We do have problems in our community. Absolutely. But it's reasons for that. And it's like that's something our community has to get together and address. And I feel like it's happening now. It's been a slow burnout, but you got to look at it. We just integrated with white society 50, 60 years ago. It hasn't been that long. You get what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not like we've been integrated for hundreds of years. But I'll let you keep
No,
going
and
because I
I
just cut you off.
100%. Yeah, no, all good. I agree with you. Like Nick touches on a lot of points that I think everybody agrees on, but he ruins it with his kind of like bombastic ways of talking about things. He's like hyper focused on things that to me are irrelevant. Like you were talking about like intelligence and stuff like that. I don't think that really fucking matters. I used to be like kind of like a very conservative, like free market. I fell into like the Milton Friedman type shit and the Thomas Sowell type
Libertarian.
stuff. But like when I think about it, it's like, first off, those guys base all their information on stuff that happened like 100 years ago. Like this isn't fucking like horse and carriages and Henry Ford. We don't live in that world anymore. Like you said, we have AI, we have so much resources and wealth. It's like realistically, we should be able to give everybody health care. Like there's no reason that they'll try to say, well, economically it doesn't work and blah blah blah. And it's like you can make it work when you have like trillions of dollars and you have control over your entire planet. Like we're a planetary species. We're all over the globe. We can make everybody have healthcare. We can give everybody jobs. We can give everybody opportunities. The only thing preventing that is just the people in power. And that's really I think that's the most important thing right now is what is going to be the next thing that takes over, because it's very clear this kind of old way, this kind of like World War II era, which is what we're still kind of living in. And Nick brings up that point I've seen where he's like, we're kind of living in the remnants of this like post-war kind of like super liberal society where like we're basing everything based on kind of what the boomers went through, but it's like the boomers are kind of coming out, right? Like they're going to be going away soon, and now we're going to be left with the world. We're not really tied or connected to that era of human history. Now we're all together. Now, whether you like it or not, whether you like that we're a multiracial or multicultural or multi-ethnic country, we are that. That's what it is. There's no like you can't reverse. I don't think the people like Nick. It's like they almost want to cosplay 1950, and it's like that stuff. It's stupid. It doesn't work. It never would work. The point is we have to move forward, and the question is what kind of like philosophy is going to drive that forward? What is our leadership going to look like? And the only way we're going to find that out is if people can have conversations like this, that free speech isn't stifled, that we can talk about touchy subjects like you were saying with like crime in the black community. Like, as a white person, like we've all seen this for years now, but you've kind of always been silenced. You haven't been allowed to like say anything. If you point it out, you're a racist, you could lose your job. But it's like there's nothing wrong with pointing that out. It doesn't mean that they're like the way Nick talks about it, it's like they're inherently violent. This is always how they're going to be. It's like, well, first off, we know that's not the case because at one point we were all fucking tribal barbarians, right? Where there was no civilization. Now we have civilization. So this idea that like you're just stupid and you're stuck stupid and this is how it's like, that's just objectively false. Like people develop, we all had different starting points. And like we were having the conversation before, even within geographical areas, Italians were super far ahead of the Irish, who I'm from. But all that shit doesn't really matter. It all has coalesced to this point that we're at now, where we're a global society. We have tremendous amount of resources. Like you said, we have AI coming in that is basically going to take over our decision making for us. Because if the AI is smarter than us, well, anytime major events or major type of things happen, the people in power are probably going to go to the AI and run it through an algorithm and be like, okay, well, what do we do? What is the optimal course of action? And it's like, is that really how we should be living our life? Like, should we be living by like computers and algorithms? And that's kind of what led us here, right? Like you popped up in my algorithm because Candace Owens and Nick Funa's interview and your video gets recommended. Then I get emotionally manipulated. I post a comment, then you get emotionally manipulated. And it's like we're all just kind of being like manipulated by technology. But like when we sit here and talk, we're like having a good time and we're laughing and we're like agreeing on like 99. We're pretty much agreeing on everything. And it's like when we talk to each other, it's clear like, no, we all have more commonality than we do differentiation. And I think with people like Nick, they kind of demonize the differences between us. I think we should celebrate those things. I'm sure you enjoy St. Patty's Day and going out and having a beer and exactly. And it's like, I
Absolutely.
enjoy other cultures. Why can't we enjoy the best of what we have instead of focusing on the worst and kind of dividing each other? At the end of the day, we're all people. We're all trying to achieve the same thing. We might achieve it in different ways, but we can all be respectful towards each other. And we can all, I think the biggest thing is we need a common goal. And you got to start off at a small scale. We got to start off as, with you live in Asia, I live in America, but, in America, we definitely need direction. Whether, people like it or not, we are the superpower in the world. We do have like most of the wealth, most of the control. I just think that we just really need better leadership. We need a different philosophy. And we don't need these warmongering people. Like none of us want these wars. Nobody wants these wars. No person who's not in this globalist cabal wants these conflicts. And so it's like we need competent leaders to like go around and be like, we got to end this shit. We got to kind of come together
I
and
just
figure what.
I,
Yeah.
I want to touch on 3 points. I'm gonna touch on the last point you just. I agree with damn near everything you just said. the last point you just said, these wars, that's where the corruption comes in because if you look at Eisenhower before, what do you think about the JFK assassination? You think that was definitely an inside? I know we're going off on a tangent though, but you definitely think that
No,
was an
that's
inside
okay.
job, right?
Yeah, it's okay. I love this type of shit. Yeah. I think it was most likely an inside job. Yeah.
Yeah, my opinion, all the evidence that I looked at, the CIA murdered him, and then you look at Eisenhower before he Kennedy became president. Eisenhower warned of a government within a government, kind of like some Illuminati shit. He warned he said he named it by name. He said the military industrial complex, and that's what all these fucking wars are. It's just profit for Raytheon, Halliburton, all these all these weapon manufacturers. And you ever notice, like, I don't watch fucking corporate news. I think it's fucking shitty. I think they're a big part of the fucking problem too. But if you ever watch like CNN, I remember years ago, they had fucking Raytheon commercials for fucking fighter jets. And I'm like, why are they showing a fucking commercial for a fighter jet? Who the fuck is gonna buy this? They saying it like they're promoting it for someone to buy it. And I realized what they're doing is just manufacturing consent. They're setting an Overton window. So Raytheon it's all one big fucking scheme. They're paying the corporate media to allow them. They're paying them to allow to post that advertisement. They're paying for that time. It's just all one big money laundering scheme between consultants and the corporate elite. And I just wanted to jump in because you said the shit about the wars because I could completely agree. All these fucking wars are bullshit.
Yeah.
But
And go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, because I'm gonna change gears to two other topics. So I'll let you jump back in what you was gonna say about that.
Yeah, and the tough part about it is that these people are not going to just let us come in and like the tough part is going to be they're going to have to be included in kind of the development of how things move forward because they're not going to just let everything go and just be like, okay, yeah, you guys win. We're going to go home and I'm going to work at McDonald's for the rest of my life. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to figure out a way to we're most likely going to have to keep those people in power and allow them to be where they are. We just need to direct them in a different direction, I think. Instead of investing in like missiles and fucking airplanes, build MRI machines, build fucking hospitals. Like this is the thing is we have all this.
I don't think they're gonna do that, man.
They're not gonna do that, but we gotta force them to do it. We gotta go in with our American flags and we got
they kill anybody who try to, challenge. They kill Kennedy. They blew his fucking head off. Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was one of the I think the best of in my personal opinion. I think he was a really decent, good man, man. I think he would have did some really good things. And he was challenging the CIA. He was pissed off at them that they did that Bay of Pig shit. They tricked him into that. That wasn't his plan,
Yeah.
And he said he was going to shatter the CIA into 1,000,000 pieces. They blew his head off for that shit.
Well, and that's the thing. Like he came at him aggressively. I was reading about the transition of like the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire and the differences between like what's his name?
Caesar?
Julius Caesar and his son Augustus. And what they write about basically, like the theory is that Julius kind of failed because he did what kind of JFK and those people were trying to do of like coming and just destroy the whole thing. And the reason that Augustus succeeded is because he went to those guys. He says, "Listen, I'm not going to take your shit. I'm not going to kill you. You're just going to do what the fuck I'm going to tell you to do now. And you'll make your money. You'll keep your power, but we're going to transition into doing something else." And I think that's probably what's going to have to happen. And that's going to piss a lot of people off. But, I don't see us being able to they have too much power. They have way too much it's going to be hard to just get rid of them. And I don't think that's like a way it's going to end up happening.
I just realized I had you kind of like, because I was looking at you, I got both cameras up so I could see you in the full box on the right, but I had you a little cut on the one that's going to be in the stream, but I just fixed it now. So a part of the video, you might be a little cut, but I fixed it now. But
that's all right.
Interesting point you said on Caesar. Because Caesar gave clemency. He gave clemency when he crossed the Rubicon and he had the civil war with Pompey. And if you notice the picture I put for my last video, I put Vercingetorix going up to Caesar. That was Vercingetorix was the dude from the Gallic, one of the Gallic tribes that was revolting in Gaul. But so I tried to be a little slick about it. So it's crazy that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But Caesar, he gave clemency to the people that revolted against him in the Civil War. And Pompey, he was gonna give clemency to Pompey. Pompey was the husband of his daughter. His daughter had passed away. That's the only reason, the Civil War even happened. And Crassus died in Parthia. But he wasn't gonna kill Pompey. The Egyptians, the Ptolemaic He was like a 9 year old
Yeah.
Cleopatra brother. She beheaded Pompey. I don't know if you ever seen the Rome
Yeah,
mini.
he like wasn't okay with that. Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're
you seen
talking
the Rome
about. Yeah.
miniseries? You ever seen it?
What's that?
They have a miniseries, HBO miniseries called Rome. It came out probably like early 2000s. It's really good, but it's like an
I saw a
excellent
little
scene on
bit of
that
it.
shit.
Yeah, it's pretty savage, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the whole thing, but
they scream at
he
the
like
Egyptians
screwing
go,
the guy's wife in front of him and stuff. Is that the same
yeah.
show?
The the
Yeah, yeah,
kid
yeah.
the kid telling me, he goes, but he was your enemy. He was a consul of Rome. One of the greatest scenes in the fucking HBO miniseries. HBO makes some good
Yeah.
shorts and series a lot of times.
Yeah, they had some of like the best TV for a while, for sure.
Yeah.
Sopranos, you know.
Sopranos is one of the best. I was looking at a post on Instagram talking about it yesterday, and I realized the older you get, how Tony looked at the world and especially like American culture and its materialisticness and how people come to power. Usually it's ensued with violence. Like this country was
Yeah.
formed, the American Revolution. Like, you know, America was literally formed off the bloodshed. And I think Thomas Jefferson has a quote. What is it? Like when you don't allow for peaceful change, like you make bloodshed, like it's something along those lines. Bloodshed inevitable. I might
Yeah.
be saying it, this saying a quote all fucking wrong, but that's the thing I feel like is the issue with today. I don't think they're gonna relinquish power. You get what I'm saying? Like I think
Yeah.
I don't
I
want it
agree.
to be violent. Nobody wants, like, I don't want, but like, and that's the scary part. It's like, okay, if that is the case, because the way it's going right now, this is unattainable. The way American society is going now is unattainable. So if shit
Yeah.
happens, who's gonna fill that power vacuum? You get what I'm saying? That's what gets me nervous when I hear Nick start saying all that race shit. But another
I
point,
agree. I don't want people like Nick, that kind of like divisionist ideology kind of
right,
permeating
right, because even if
leadership.
he
I
might
agree.
even if he might not necessarily believe in violence against others, some of his followers might. You get what I'm saying? Because they might be, and out of not a, and I look at it like it's out of disenfranchisement of them. You know what I mean? Like it was a quote by Lyndon Johnson. He says that if poor whites have a subsect a group to look down on, then you could take all their money. I give you the exact quote, something along those lines. But certain things I do feel like the new world order, so to say, that came after post World War II needs to come back. Like for instance, like I don't know if you know about any of the policies FDR had, like the he before he died, he was making something called the Second Bill of Rights, where that if you couldn't find a job in the private sector, that the public sector afforded was like made sure you had work. And I think that's something that's important that we need now, because if you look at the infrastructure in America, our infrastructure gets a grade of fucking D. It's horrible. We could put millions of people at work right now just rebuilding America. And like you
Yeah.
mentioned China earlier, you said America is the so that shit is fading away. I've been to China.
I
I've been
agree.
there to Chengdu, China, and Shanghai. Their cities are some cyberpunk futuristic shit. The shits look insane, like insane. Their infrastructure is ridiculous. Uh this is what Lyndon Johnson says. I tell you what's at the bottom. If you could convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking
Yeah.
his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. And I know a lot of the groypers might, you know, fall under that category, and I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the government's fault. First of all, lack of education and taking advantage of people. Like you're stealing people's money, giving it to other nations that don't fucking deserve it. Why are we sending billions of dollars to Israel every year? To, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
to commit genocides that people work bust their ass for. People are barely getting by right now. So I understand it. You know what I mean? I understand people's pain, but it's like, where do you direct that energy? Do you direct it at the motherfuckers who's robbing you, or just people beneath you? Oh shit, I lost you. Hold on, I'm gonna try to get Connor back in here, man. I was really enjoying this conversation. Let me see. I'm sending him another link. Lost him there. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the stream, man. This conversation is really, really productive. Um, he's a really good guy. You know, people might just have difference on certain opinions, and that's fine. But I'm glad that this conversation has been really really productive, and I respect his opinions on certain things, and I can tell you respect my opinions on certain things. And that's really my message to some of the people that was in the comment section, kind of chewing me out, especially with some of the racist shit. Like, I don't mind, bro. Say what you want to say because I'm well off. I'm good. I live life. I do what I want. I had a great day yesterday. I have a great day every day. I do what I want to do. I'm saying this because I believe it or not, I even care about people like you that might people like you guys that might be racist. Not putting Connor in this conversation, but the other people that was in the comment section saying a lot of racist shit. I want a better life for you and your family, and I understand how the American government has been taking advantage of you. So, uh, and I understand that Nick talks about, those things too. Um, it's just how do you talk about it? How do you go about it? If you sitting there trying to belittle other people, then it's, you know, what are you doing that for? Like, what's the point of that if you're trying to build a coalition? Trying to get Nick back in here. Where you at, Nick? Where you at, Nick? Oh, there you go. I mean, not Nick, kind of. There we go. Here we go. Got you back.
Sorry about that.
No, no, it's all good. It's all good. I got you back. I got you perfectly fitted. But yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts on what I said.
Yeah, you were talking about like Lyndon B. Johnson expanding off that quote of like how they're kind of dividing all of us. Is that what we were?
Yeah, no, I was just the point I was trying to make is like we have the same fight. Blacks and
Yeah,
whites in this country, we have the same fight. And it's like I wish Nick would direct the energy because I think he has a voice and he's a great orator. He speaks, he's very well spoken. And I know he has sacrificed, things in his personal life. So I respect the losses he took to get where he is now. I respect it. And I think he speaks the truth about a lot of shit. So it's like making this message. I don't want to say inclusive. I don't want to use those terms because that's just I'm not trying to say it pussyfoot, but just we have the same issues. So make
yeah.
some type of coalition where we handle the issues that we all suffer from.
Yeah, like you don't have to be like again, yeah, like you said, like it's not like inclusive because like people use that word in like a weird
Yeah,
way, but
right.
like it's about just not being divisive. Like there's no reason to really talk about half the shit he talks about. We all know that there's like Zionists in power that have this kind of they need to support Israel because that's kind of their agenda. And it's fine to talk about that. I guess it's not fine to talk about
Yeah,
that if you're in the
America will
news
fuck
media.
you up. Hey, people ain't getting diplomas. People are losing their jobs for that shit. That shit is serious. That shit is crazy. That shit
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But you know what I do think is not okay is to be like all the Jews are for you know what I mean? Like that stuff, it's just like it's unnecessary. You don't have to speak like that. Even if you believe that, you're not gonna get anywhere by just because even the people that are I noticed like the more mainstream people that are starting to like entertain him. That's the one thing they always point out. They're like, I don't know if we can have him on because it's like, is he gonna just start going on racist tendons and he's pushing more people away from his movement than he is attracting people.
I feel like he's shifted. I feel like he's shifting it a bit now too. I feel like he's being a little because I've been watching some of his recent stuff. I feel like he's trying to be less racist to black people. I see the effort of him trying to do it, so I can appreciate that. But it's like okay, take
But
down.
it's like, is that the type of guy we want in like any type of leadership? Is it, you know what I mean? Like,
Right, right, right.
it's
But
just, yeah.
honestly, I feel like the problems are so bad right now. The issues are so bad. If anyone who can make a coalition where you get all working people, whatever fucking color you are, and if Nick, shifts a little bit and he's like, yo, I fucked up. I was saying stupid shit. When I was saying that shit, I was, bugging. I was just trying to build my audience. But I believe that all working people are suffering this issue and we need to address it in this way. If he can build a coalition, I'm all for it. He have my support. I'm not saying people don't deserve second chances. I'm not trying to condemn him for life for saying dumb shit. Maybe he just didn't know about African civilizations, because that's not something
Yeah.
that's taught in school. You get what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
you don't get that
Yeah. In
information growing
America,
up. I
without
had to find
learning
that out on
African
my own.
history. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody who
Absolutely.
knows that looks on their own. So maybe he just doesn't know. So I wouldn't just condemn him and his movement and all. But do I think what he has done before is dangerous? Absolutely. But if he can build a coalition, and I don't want to use the fucking word inclusive, but like all working people who suffer the same plight, where we're getting fucked over, they're taking billions, trillions of our tax money and giving it, to Israel to go bomb poor people that look like me. I'm for that. you know,
Yeah.
I agree with him there.
And he came about through this, like what we're doing right now. He started off online. He just spread his ideas out there. And I think the counter, like you said, like Nick has a lot of good things about him. I think what now needs to happen is people like us. I want because I want to start posting stuff too. You've kind of inspired me to do that.
But bro,
Like
whenever you want to
have,
come on my channel, you're more than welcome. And if you start your channel, I'll plug yours in. Mine is small. I only got about 50 subscribers, but
that's
we go
something
together.
though. That's been
Yeah.
if we were in a room and there was 50 people here, that would seem like a lot of people. That would be like a good event. So it's like,
Right.
we all have to start somewhere. You know what I mean? It's a big
Absolutely.
hill we got to climb up on, but you got to start eventually. You can't. Everybody's just sitting around, kind of just. And I've heard Nick say this, where he's like, "We're all just kind of waiting for it to collapse. We're
Yeah.
enjoying the best moments, and it's just like, well, we had a good time, and it all comes to an end. And it's like, we shouldn't be doing this. Uh, we have a great society. We have all this technology. We have all this wealth to our disposal. It's just the people utilizing it are the wrong people. So I think like people like us need to start putting our voices out there and putting pressure on people like Nick who are getting a big following that is resonating with people and kind of nudge him and be like, hey, listen, we agree with you, but this is the things we disagree with. And if we do want to make an impact, we need to kind of agree and figure out something that everybody can kind of get around where it's not as divisive and not as
And to be fair to
aggressive
him,
really.
to be fair to him, from what I've observed of his recent stuff, it does seem like that's kind of happening. To be fair to him, I'm gonna be fair.
Yeah,
The shit he said
absolutely.
before was absolutely appalling, and it pissed me off. But I deal
Yeah,
with people every day that say shit that piss me off. So it's life. I'm a big boy, and a lot of the black community, I agree with certain things he said about the black community, because we do have certain problems we have to address. But just all that IQ shit and no civilization, fuck off with that shit.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and listen, like past like 10 years or so, there's been a big attack on the white community with like racist cops and racist people, and that absolutely exists. And it's like we got to point that out. You can't just like
Oh yeah.
these people on the right were like, oh no, we're just like right, and it's like no, everybody has problems. Like we all see it. Like stereotypes typically tend to be true, and we all have stereotypes, and it's like we shouldn't focus on the stereotypes and define each other as that, but we also can't really ignore them too. Like we have to call out our own shit. It's kind of if we're gonna be all together, we have to call out our own bullshit that we do. And we can laugh about it. We can have a fun, like it doesn't have to be like hateful and aggressive. And
And I think
like you said, we're all trying for the same goal. We all want the same thing.
that's why, because a lot of people gave me kickback, and I think it was kind of fair kickback about me putting asthma goal in the same category as Nick. And my chain of thinking was, yes, he has said some heinous shit. Like I pointed in particular to thing he said about Palestinians being of low culture. So it's like, okay, you support the genocide of them because you think they're of low culture. That was fucking
Crazy.
completely insane. But like
Yeah.
a lot of people, I feel like they platform Nick and they look at Nick as a friend, and it's like, damn. After he said all that disparaging shit, about black people, like they didn't find nothing wrong with it, and that shit be a little, you know, that shit hit the
Yeah.
undertone a little bit. That shit hit the gut, like, and I think that's why I lumped them in as the same, into the same category. Because a lot of times I see him talking about Nick, and he's defending Nick on a lot of shit. And like I said, I think Nick is a great orator, and I agree with a lot of the shit he talk about. So I get it, I understand it. He's a charismatic guy. I get it, I understand, but we got to hold certain people accountable. We can't be playing, mythos shit just because you like somebody. You don't hold them accountable. I got friends, and if they fuck up on something, I'm gonna hold them accountable. It's still my boy, but that's some fucked up shit to say. You know what I mean? And I wasn't seeing too
Yeah.
much of that
100%.
happening.
And if you don't do that, then it tells these people that that is okay. Like that's part of what we believe in. And it's like, I don't think that is what people believe in. Like going back to early in the conversation about like algorithms and emotional manipulation. I think that's a lot of what's going on. I think people have been inundated with such horseshit over the past like 10 years that people are really kind of fed up with stuff. But people got to realize this is specifically targeted. This is how people get views. This is how people get their message out there and build a following is they say bombastic shit that's
You
fucked
know,
up.
how true it is, because I posted that video. All my other videos I posted, the most I got was the first video that you commented on. I think that was my second video. It had like 300 views. But then this view, when I went like on a little rant, this shit just in a day, 1,000 views like sparked up, and I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't expect it to blow up like that. Like, not say that it blew up because it didn't blow up at any time, but for my little channel, that amount of
Yeah.
engagement, I was not expecting that, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm glad I'm getting the engagement, but they on my ass in the comments.
And
They
then,
calling me
but
monkeys.
and then what does that? And then what does that tell you? To keep producing shit, like, and then it compounds on itself. Where it's like, okay, now my channel is basically a hate channel, and it's like,
Yeah, but
is
that's
that
not what I
really
want to
what we
do.
want?
I want my shit to be genuine. Like I want to inform people on certain things. Like because I think I have a wealth of knowledge. Different topics, and I'm a very diverse person. Like I be into a lot of different shit. So like that wasn't the goal of my channel. That's not what I wanted my channel to be. So that's why even when I was emailing you, I was like, oh, bro, I want this conversation to be productive. Like we could, disagree on certain stuff and debate that. That's fine. But I'm not trying to have it be on some, oh, fuck you. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I might engage in the comment section. I find it funny. The comments, the racist shits, I find it funny. I'm gonna say some slick shit back. Like, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, that's not what I want my content to be. You know what I mean? Just disparaging people. No, that's not. I want to inform people and, try to kind of shape, the direction of, because it's going to be a movement that's going to come up, within the next year or two. Something is going to happen. Something's going to shake, and kind of like, you know, push it in what I believe to be the right direction.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely on that. 100%. I got to get going soon.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
No,
you wanted to talk about?
No, brother. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm gonna probably post this later today. I'm not gonna edit it now. I'm gonna leave it just how it was. I thought the conversation was really productive. You got my email, bro. Anytime you want to jump on the channel, if you see I say some shit, or you want to, chop it up, you more than welcome, free to come anytime. And if you start your channel, let me know. I'll plug your shit in on my shit, bro. You know what I mean? I really appreciate the conversation, Connor.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I thought this was a great conversation. Yeah, I would be open to doing another one again on a different topic or whatever, just commentary, whatever. Yeah, I'd be down to do something again.
All right, so maybe I'll come up with a topic or something, and we can look at it together. Maybe we could do it like next weekend or the weekend after. We can set it up.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. I'll be in touch.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Same thing, bro.